Hey everyone, so today we're going to look at how you can align into abundance and how you can grow yourself. Okay, and I'm going to give you first in this video the reasons why this is important to do personal growth and to align yourself with the universe. So this video, there's the why, there's the what it is, and then there's how to do it. Okay, and then in the next video we're going to go deeper into each individual point. All right, so first let's just start with why. Why is it important for you to align yourself, to be fully balanced on the inside, to grow yourself, to be spiritually alive and awakened? Why is that important? So the first thing we can understand is that life is an experience, and you have an experience of life that you're bringing with you. And generally, the situations in our life, they go a certain way according to what we bring to them. See, a lot of us expect life to be a certain way on the outside, and we try to fix our life by fixing things outside ourselves, okay? And this generally doesn't work. There's really no external solution that's going to make us fully satisfied. And the more we fix external problems, they just change and new problems come, right? So ultimately what we want to do is take full responsibility that what we are bringing to the situation is determining the outcome in many cases, right? We can influence outcomes a lot more than we think we can. And generally, if things aren't going well, there's a lot that maybe we're not doing. So I find that there's, you could learn strategies, you could learn like ways of communication, you could learn leadership. There's a lot of things you can learn, and that's all good. But there's a general sense of like the level of consciousness that we bring to it. There's a level of awakeness, aliveness, high energy, just like beneficial energy flowing out of us. When we have this right, you'll be amazed that everything just seems to click into place and work, the best that it can. Okay, so what we really are wanting to do is we were taking an inside out approach. We just recognize life is like a projection of my mind. Life is a reflection of my inner state, okay? And if you want life to be better, we need to change our inner state. It's very easy to see like, certain days, maybe you meditate and you do the thing in the morning and the yoga, and then what happens? Life is just so good, isn't it? It's like people are just smiley and things go well and that business deal works out in your favor, or that relationship just clicks into place and things just seem to go well, right? Maybe you had tension with a family member or whatever, then it just somehow just works that day, right? And then on another day, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're grouchy, and then everyone's just a grouch that day. Everyone's just annoying that day, and life is so fresh, and then stressful things happen. And just like, what else could go wrong? Do we see how that life isn't choreographed by on the outside? It's not like people think, oh, you know what? He or she did their meditation practice this morning. Let's get into our places and let's smile and be nice. Like, there's no choreography going on in that way. It's not like there's an outside force that's determining our life. It's like the way our mind is, the way our energy is, determines what we see. Literally, it's perception is creation. If you perceive things in a beneficial way, they are beneficial for you. And you can change a bad situation into a good one just by changing your perception of it. We always have choice of our perception, and we always have choice of our intentions. Okay, these are two things that we can have control of all the time. And if you just control your perceptions and your intentions, you're going to have a really good experience of life. And you'll find that by bringing high energy, by bringing a state of influence, by bringing confidence, by bringing a level of alertness and aliveness and awakeness, right? You will, like a high awareness, right? A consciousness. By bringing this to life, you'll find that things go your way and you're able to be very influential and successful just because of what you've brought to the situation, not because of the situation itself. Okay, so this is in a sense why there's many reasons why we need to actualize and why we need to grow and align. I guess a higher point is that generally the universe, there is a higher consciousness in this universe that's conspiring to help us and also help everybody. It's not just trying to help us, it's trying to help everybody equally. Okay, but it is trying to help us too. And if we align to this beneficial force, if we line up, if we make our wishes in line with the wishes of this divine consciousness, if we make our energy in line with the energy of the divine consciousness, if we make our views the same as the views of the divine consciousness, and our intentions the same as the intentions of this divine consciousness, which is to help everybody, right? Then you will notice that you receive the power and force of this energy, of this consciousness flowing through you. It can then influence your life, and you can bring it in. You can be a channel, in other words. And it's kind of like we are a sailboat, and we just put up our sails, and we just get carried by this great wind, and and we go farther, faster than we could ever go by ourselves. So this is a higher reason for alignment. It's literally aligning with the divine force that's already trying to help us. And we're going to go in as soon as we get into the content, exactly what that means and how to do it. Okay, so let's just jump in. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Now we did the why, what does it mean to align with this higher consciousness? What does it mean to be aligned and balanced? What does it mean to grow ourselves, personally, professionally? What does that mean? What does it mean to bring high states of energy? Okay, so here we're going to talk about eight key points. There's 8 key points that I want to make, okay? And these are the steps. There's 8 steps. If we do all 8 of these steps, we are aligning into abundance. We're creating spiritual foundations for ourselves. We are actualizing ourselves. We are awakening. We're getting in touch with this energy, and we're becoming a channel for divine energy. All the things that we want to do happen by doing these 8 steps. Okay, these are inner practices that we can all do today. Okay. The first one is actualization. Actualization. So I'm going to go deep into each one in the next video, but here I just want to give a brief description of each one. Actualization is ourself just becoming self-actualized, right? This is, in a sense, the goal of all awakening type practices, but we're putting it as the first step here because we can start. It starts with just our wish to do this. It starts with our intention to become actualized, okay? An actualized person is a happy person, is a fulfilled person, is a successful person, is a very confident person, is a very effective person. It's a person that doesn't waste energy as well, okay? And here, essentially, actualization, all we really need to do is decide to improve ourselves. So we just decide every day I'm going to improve myself, whatever that means to you, right? It could mean improving yourself professionally in whatever capacity or context that is. Maybe for your job, there's a lot you could do to become better at it. You could study, you could learn. You could learn from masters, you could practice more, right? Getting actualized professionally means that we improve ourselves professionally. And personally, it also means like learning, mindset things, learning about relationships, learning about what does my mind do, learning your own patterns, trying to improve your patterns, trying to release negative patterns that will show up in different areas of your life, trying to cultivate positive patterns. This is actualization, right? Basically, it means that we're going to let go of anything negative and we're going to cultivate everything positive. That, on the inside, like mentally, all the mental positive habits of mind we want those. We want to improve them, refine them, make them better. We want to release negative patterns, negative habits. Okay? This is what spiritual practice is. This is what actualization is. Okay, so we're going to go deep in the next video. For now, I just want to give you this as an intention. Just create the intention. I want to improve myself. Okay, and this is how we actualize, is we just improve ourselves. Now, one of the best ways of improving ourselves is to help others. Sounds interesting. But by getting out of ourself, by focusing on other people, we create enormous positive energy. By deciding to help others, it like fertilizes our garden. Everything that we want to do, all of our wishes will start coming true as we start helping people, because it fertilizes the garden. It creates an abundance of energy that is assisting the ripening of our wishes and intentions. Okay, so if you want your self-development practice to work, if you want your professional life to improve, if you want your relationships to improve, your mindset to improve, your physical body to improve, we need to fortify our efforts. It's like trying to grow things in a garden. We need to fortify it with this strength, with this energy, positive energy. And that comes, there's other ways to do it than helping other people, but this is the simplest one that I can explain here. So simply all we need to do is decide to help others, to make their lives better. Okay? This means physically, we can do it physically. We can take time and energy and effort each day to help people. We can give money to people, whatever you have an abundance of, or whatever people need around you. Why not help people with what you have, right? It'll create fulfillment immediately within you. It'll create happiness. If you have a problem that you're struggling with, or like a worry or a frustration that's like spinning around, you're just stepping out of that cycle, of that pattern, of that tornado. You're just stepping out of it, because sometimes we just can't solve it from the inside. It's like it takes skill, and that skill of solving that is beyond the scope of this video. So all we need to do, a simpler way, is just step outside of it and just decide to help people. Think about it. When's the last time that you were suffering deeply? Were you at that time? I'm going to guess you were probably thinking about yourself, right? You're probably thinking about yourself a lot. You're probably obsessing about something that was about yourself. And there's a hidden assumption in there that I'm important. I'm the most important, right? And so if a stranger had the same problem as us, would we be as concerned about it, right? Would we devote mental energy to help them? Or is it just that it's us? Is that the reason, right? Like someone loses their car or their job or something, or their house, or they just have a bad day and someone criticizes them or whatever, or we lose our partner, like whatever it is. If it happens to us, we get obsessed with it and we spiral down, right? But if it happens to a stranger, we're not very concerned, right? But why? It's only because at the core, we have an assumption that we're more important, right? It's like obviously wrong that we're the center of the universe, but we still do it. It's still a pattern, right? And this creates the conditions for this mental obsession, and it creates the conditions for the worry and the frustration and the fear and the anxiety and the depression and the anger, and all the negative things that you want to avoid are within this sort of this web, this spiral, this sphere of thinking that you're important, more important than others. So we need to step out of that. And yes, there's ways to kind of work it with meditation and so on, but again, that's deep, and we'll go into that some other time. For now, it's just a simple action. We just decide to step out of thinking about ourselves, and we decide to focus on helping other people. You can help them verbally, right? Just verbally giving people advice, or talking to them and listening, right? Letting them express, asking them questions, sharing meaningful advice, or just comforting them, maybe compliments, nice things. This is a way of helping people, isn't it? It's helping them, right? Lifting someone's mood a little bit. It helps them. Now they're more resourceful. Now they're more light. Now they're not spinning in their own negative spiral, right? Now they can start to focus on something meaningful and something that will make them happy. So you can use your words to guide people and lift them up and direct them in things that will be beneficial for them. Words are very important in helping people. As I said, physically, giving time, giving energy, giving money, giving physical help, and so on, or just mentally too, right? Just deciding, having the wish to help people, deciding I'm going to do this, right? If you have the intention of helping people, that's creating the same kind of good karma as I talked about. It's creating this abundance of energy. You don't have to like do it all the time to have the intention, right? I'm not asking you to change your lifestyle in like a huge uncomfortable way, although being more nice to people verbally and physically is going to be really fulfilling for you, and it's going to actualize you as well. It's like you're going to stay stuck and stunted, you know, personally, like with your own personal growth, your own development stays quite stunted if we're just focusing on ourselves. It's like there's a pretty low ceiling to that, and that's not good enough, right? That's not enough. We're here to become actualized, to become fully actualized, okay? And I can help you with that. I can help you to go very far in this topic. And from my experience, this one of the simplest ways is just to help people more. It requires a high level of awareness, right? If you decide to help people, now you have to start tuning in to their needs and their wishes, and you start to try to solve their problems before they have them, and just tune in and notice when they're uncomfortable. It requires a high level of mental consciousness and agility and awareness to actually be there and be present for them. And this is good practice for you. This is cultivating your own presence and awareness, your attentiveness, and it's really creating the karma for people to now do that to you, which is nice. You're creating a connection with people. Okay, so this is actualization. Essentially, it boils down to you deciding to improve yourself and you deciding to help others. One of the best ways to help others is to improve yourself. One of the best ways to improve yourself is to help others. If you constantly help others, you will improve. If you constantly improve yourself, meditation, yoga, professional development, whatever you're doing, these are tools. You're filling yourself up with nectar that you can share with others. You're gathering tools that you can use to help people. Okay? We can't just help other people. Then we start to try to help them with an empty cup. That's not going to work either. You must fill your cup. Your cup has to be full. You have to have something there. If you're spiritually impoverished or impoverished on the inside, even though you may want to give to others, you won't have anything there. So you must take the time. You must take it seriously. Like your own self-development is the main fuel that you'll use to help people. And there's not much more important than that, okay? So take your own self-development practice as seriously, as personally as you can. When I say seriously, I just mean regard it as being important. You don't have to be serious about it. You can be light and flexible and joyful, but you just know it's important, okay? And then you use everything that you've gained for yourself to help people. And this creates a really beautiful feedback loop. The more you improve yourself, the more you help people. The more you help people, the more you improve yourself. And if you just keep doing this as your main practice, as your daily practice, you're just going to keep going up and up and up and up in terms of actualization. Okay, so that's the first one. Purity is number 2. Okay, purity is number 2. Here, purity essentially means that we just make a decision that we're never going to harm anybody, including ourselves. So it's creating like boundaries. We draw like a circle around ourselves, and we're like, I will do these things, but I won't do those things. What are the things that you just won't do, right? Some people just won't steal. Some people just won't lie. Some people just won't cheat. Some people just won't do things reckless or harm people, right? Some people don't squish bugs. Some people won't even allow themselves to think anything judgmental or negative about somebody. Some people won't allow themselves to verbalize those things, to verbalize something that cuts somebody down or creates division or gossips for no reason, right? Meaningless gossip, right? So there's different ways to practice this. And you can see that any one of these is very beneficial, right? It's like you can create the nectar in the previous step of actualization. You can create the good things by improving yourself and helping others. But then if you have a bad habit or if you do negative things that hurt yourself or others, it drains it out. It's like putting holes in your container. It's like a hole in your aura, essentially. And the nectar just drains out, okay? For real. This is really what happens. They say like in Eastern philosophy, Chinese philosophy, and so on, they acknowledge like building character, building up a person, just like a building. It takes a long time. It could take 20 years to build yourself up into this amazing person. It takes 5 minutes to lose it. Like you can lose it all fast. You can demolish a building a lot faster than you can build it, right? In a day you can demolish it, but it might take a long time to build. This is the same with your own personal integrity, with your own character, with your own spiritual development. You can lose it very fast, and you don't want to. We need, if we want to keep the good things that we're cultivating, keep all the energy, keep all the benefit, and just keep going up and up and up, it's extremely important to learn what are my bad habits? How am I losing energy? What is it that's causing me to stagnate? Why am I stopping here? Why am I plateauing? Like, why do I have bad days sometimes? Why do I just go up and then down? Why? It's because in some level we're letting the energy out. There's holes. There's holes in the container, in the silo, or whatever. I think of like a cylinder container, and there's walls. And purity here means the integrity of the walls. How strong are they? How reinforced are they? How unbudgeable are they? How much will they never break? How solid and smooth are they? These are our boundaries, and we're talking about this using the word purity. How pure can you become? How harmless can you become to yourself and others, right? What if you never had a negative thought towards yourself or others? Now that's kind of a high level, right? But what if you could just avoid hurting people physically and yourself, right? That would include like drug use and things like that. What if you could avoid harming people with your words, including yourself? What if you decided to never waste time again? Right? These are all decisions that will keep energy in. Right? Where is your energy flowing out in a negative way? This is important. Okay, so purity essentially means that we're going to make a decision to never harm ourselves or others, and to always help ourselves and others when we can. It's like self-respect and respect for others. This is real where purity comes from. Okay, it's putting boundaries on our own behavior. Okay, so that's purity. Number 3 is certainty. We need to have certainty. We need to start becoming certain in things. We need to build that momentum. We need to get ourselves going, right? Certainty is actually part of creation. A lot of people want to see something before they believe it, but that's not how the world works, is it? Believing is seeing. When you believe in something, you manifest it, you create it. And certainty is part of that. If you want to have good results in, let's just say you join a personal growth program like this one, or you go to a seminar or something, if you have certainty that it will work for you, guess what? It's going to work for you really, really well. If you don't have certainty, it could be the same workshop or the same material, and you'll just have wavering results. It'll just be not much happening, right? And you may think, oh, I'm smart, right? I'm smart, so I've developed this analytical doubt about things. But really, you're poking holes in the boat that's trying to take you to a better place. Does that make sense? The analytical doubt is fine at a certain stage, but once you decide to go for something, you must believe it with a highest level of certainty, because it won't work without it. The universe is not a mechanical machine that works just on a purely physical basis. It's not, right? It requires certain types of mindset and energy for it to work, right? So if you believe in something, it works. This is what the placebo effect, right? Think about it. And think about the implications of this. You take sugar pills and it makes you cured of something because you believed in it. You had certainty about it. Isn't that amazing? Now, wouldn't that also mean that someone who takes real medicine but they don't believe in it, they will not get cured, or they will get cured less? Does that make sense? So if you have doubts about something that does work, it destroys the power of it. Just like believing in something that doesn't technically work makes it work because of the certainty. You cannot underestimate the power of certainty. It is a creative force. It is not an after effect. Certainty doesn't come after a result. It comes before a result. This is one of the key insights that's changed my life. Yeah, because I've used it in the context of coaching programs, coaching my clients, right? When I coach my clients, yes, I try to get them to be certain that this works during the sales process. But once they join me, I've realized that the certainty is even more important then, because when they have certainty about this process, it works for them. And so it's my job to be fully certain, not just before someone joins my program, but during my entire program. I need to be so certain so that they can be certain, right? So that they get results. It's not going to work. The program doesn't work without certainty on behalf of the participant. Same with meditation. You know, I lived 5 years at a temple in the middle of the woods, and I was a monk for most of that time, and I was practicing meditation deeply. And guess what? On the days where I have a lot of certainty, it works really well, fast. And on the days where I don't have much certainty, it just plateaus and kind of drops off, right? It goes up and down depending on our level of certainty in most cases. So don't think of certainty as something that comes after results. Think of some certainty as something that comes before results. Whatever you want to create, you must be certain about the process of creation. And when you're in a workshop or a seminar, or if you're in your own daily routine, or if you're implementing something on your own through steps that you've learned, or whatever you're doing, you know, before you do it, it's okay to analyze and to think, okay, is this the right vehicle for me? Is this the right choice? Is this really how I should be applying my energy? Yes, think about it. But then once you decide, yes, this is it, this is the vehicle for me, I'm going to go all in, then go all in and just believe it and stop analyzing, stop doubting. If you have this, some of us who are more intellectual, right? We sometimes think that it's like a superpower to have so many doubts about things, but it's not. It's just destroying our progress. It's literally poking holes in the raft, you know, in the rubber raft that's saving us, or in the balloon that's taking us to a higher place. You're poking holes. It's not the time for that. It's the time for certainty. And I know that there's a little inner critic that's like judging it. It's like judging people who have more certainty as like the ones who are just not as smart. Oh, you're not as smart as me because you're believing in this fully and you're not doubting. My doubts are so intelligent. I'm sophisticated in my doubts. See my questions, my analysis. And we started to develop like a pride about that. And we think that we're smarter, and we think people who are more certain are dumber sometimes. It's actually interesting. But I want you to put aside the thought about smart or not smart and just think about results or non-results. And do you want results? Well, then just be certain, and then you'll get results. It's as simple as that. If you want to keep kind of floundering, then just keep poking holes, and you'll have a floundering experience, and you'll never get anywhere until you believe in it. Okay? So I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just trying to make a point that certainty comes before results and not after. Okay, 4 is security. Security is an interesting one. For me, and here financial security is a big part of it, but it could be any type of security. We need to believe that we're always going to be okay and the universe is going to have our back. We need to believe in this. We need to just decide, I'm always going to be okay. The universe will always provide for me. This is security, and this creates a solid, smooth ground that we can build on. When I first practiced this, I had an eviction notice at my door and just a couple of days supply of food, like canned food. And I just didn't have much certainty. Well, I didn't have much external stability, but I just decided to practice this anyway. I'm always going to, because I noticed I had a fear. I had a fear that I wasn't always going to be okay. I had a fear the universe wasn't just going to provide for me, that I wasn't going to have enough, right? Or that I may not have enough. I had a fear, and that fear was eating away at my mental comfort, my mental ability to make clear decisions. And it kind of undermined my energy and my momentum. It didn't allow me to creatively express or think or to kind of create anything solid because I was too insecure about this financially, right? So it was like eating away. All these demons were like eating away at me, demons of insecurity. And I realized that I had allowed these to come and feast on me and just undermine my progress and happiness for months, really, for a few months. And that it was really, I could literally draw a connection between the fear and losing opportunities. In fact, I had a fear that I was going to lose a client, and that fear caused me to do certain actions that just, and to show up with certain energy that allowed him to very easily just let me go. And it came true. The fear came true, right? It was just a 1 month. He paid me 1 month when we were supposed to work a lot more than that. And my insecurity caused me to be ineffective and to apply my energy in the wrong places, right? When you're scared about something, you apply energy in kind of places where you shouldn't, right? You put too much energy in losing endeavors, and you kind of miss out on the places that you could have put energy to create success. It really channels our energy in the wrong, towards failure. Fear causes failure, doesn't it? Fear inspires us to put our energy in failing endeavors, things that are just bound to fail. It's just how it works. So I saw that in myself, and I realized that I had all this fear. And I decided right then and there to just adopt the belief. I knew some friends who were successful, two different people who just said the same thing to me. You know, life will always provide. The universe is always going to give me what I need, and I'm always going to be okay. And that they created a very amazing foundation. Well, that was their foundation, that they built a very financially free and independent and abundant life from. So they were able to build palaces of abundance on the ground of security and stability, right? But it started with that thought, I'm always going to be okay. And I realized I don't have that. I have the opposite. So I decided I'm going to do this. I'm just going to have this thought. I'm just going to believe everything's going to be okay. And the universe will always provide for me. And within a month, maybe 6 weeks or so from that, maybe 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks from that point, everything reversed. I started making money, making 5 figures per month very quickly after that. Okay. My first 5-figure month happened shortly after that. So this is because, so despite the external signs of the eviction notice, the pantry with canned food in it without any real money to buy anything besides that, but with, and the eviction notice, it was like, I was that late on rent that there was an eviction notice on my door, and I just didn't have the money for it. So it all reversed. So what we need to do for security is, again, don't look for external signs to dictate your internal environment or experience. You first create the inside mindset that you want, and then watch as external reality rearranges itself and changes. Okay? So just like we said in the last video, with certainty comes before results, in this way, security comes before stability, right? External stability follows internal sense of security. It comes second, right? The external comes second. It doesn't matter, like I was coaching someone on this the other day. Whatever number, we all come up with numbers. Like, oh, if I just had 5 grand or 20 grand or whatever, then I could do this, right? Then I could do this thing, then I could do this thing, and then I'll have security. But we won't. Like if we have this fear, there's no amount of money that's really going to pacify us. We're always going to be worried about, well, when's the next money coming? And the money we'll find goes very fast. And then we're like, well, I still feel insecure because I don't know where the money's coming from again. Fear perpetuates itself, right? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It creates scenarios that feel insecure. And with that insecurity, again, all of our resources and energy flow into negative places. So it's like having, instead of a container, it's like having a drain, right? We need to cork it. You need to cork the drain so that it fills up, right? If you have that fear, it's like an uncorked funnel, a drain. And then all the energy you put in, you could put in 20 grand into that funnel or that sink or whatever, or 5 grand, or you could put in this opportunity, and it just flows out. It doesn't stay, it just flows out the bottom because of the insecurity has created that hole, right? We need to plug up that hole with security by believing everything's going to be okay. I'm always going to have whatever I need. okay? I'm always going to have what I need. I'm always going to be provided for. And I found that in my last 2 years of having this business do quite well, it's true. Like there are ups and downs, but I'm always given what I need. I never have less than what I need. Sometimes it's like it feels like, barely enough on certain moments. Like, well, I've just invested this and I don't have any money coming in till then, and for the next few days I gotta live with just this amount, and it can feel tight, but that's what life is. That's what entrepreneurship is, and it's all part of the ride. But if we have that idea, that emotion of security, everything's going to be okay. I'm always going to be provided for. The universe has no choice but to give me what I need. How could it not? Right? The universe has a beneficial force within it. There's a beneficial divine influence within it. How could it not give us what we need? As long as we believe in it, right? As long as we stay open to that. And so this is the lesson that changed my life and created that foundation for abundance. This is the foundational principle that allows you to start to build abundance. Right? Or else you just have a drain. Okay. So the next one is joyful presence. So joyful presence is a state of joy and presence together. Our presence is something that we bring to a scenario. It's something that changes the people around us. I've been different types of presence in different kinds of situations. Occasionally I'll walk into a situation with like a negative presence, and people notice you and they just don't want anything to do with you, right? Or sometimes you're just a neutral presence. Sometimes my presence feels like invisible, or sometimes my presence is strong and joyful, and there's different ways. I've walked into a church thing. I went to church one day with a friend, and the priest was there and all the people would gather around, and when I walked in the room I had such a light that lit up the entire room, and everyone looked at me with this like awe, like, whoa, what was that? Right? So it's good to learn that we have a presence and that it's like we bring light with us, and what we want to do is learn to combine the presence with joy. Okay, so first of all, we have a presence. It's like an inner light. It's an inner light of awareness, and we can tap into this. I want you to tap into your own inner light of awareness and just realize this is what I bring with me everywhere, and I can come from this place. I can make this brighter, right? I can remove the blocks on this. Okay, I can affect other people's lives. A little bit of presence. I've used my presence, like for example, if there's a crying child, and I just like have a presence and I look at him with a certain way, and the kid just stops crying, right? They just become calm and pacified just through my presence and the way I look, the way I let the presence come through my expression, right? We can channel our light towards people and create a big difference in their lives. I've pacified conflicts and fights with just a presence. It's not that hard. Once you have it, you just learn how to shine it, right, to other people. Okay, if you follow the previous steps, you will create a very divine, abundant presence. You'll create an amazing light presence. Okay, so follow those steps to kind of improve your presence. And here, let's get the joyfulness in, right? So it's a peaceful light of awareness on the inside, and it's also naturally joyful. And it's good to start thinking it's good to start tapping in with the energy of joyfulness and enjoyment, because it is our natural state. And a lot of us try to avoid joy. And maybe you're spiritual. And sometimes spiritual people, they want to avoid joy because they think it unbalances them. And in the past, maybe it has unbalanced you. But if we're going to become abundant and affluent and influential, we need to learn to harness this power of joy. And we need to learn to hold it, right? The more you can hold joy, the more you can hold abundance. If you can't hold joy, you can't hold abundance. If you don't trust yourself with joy, why would you trust yourself with the wealth energy of abundance, right? With that power. It's power. There's new power. When you have more wealth, you have more power, essentially. It's just a powerful vibe. And let's practice with joy, something harmless like joy that you can cultivate just today. And the more you can hold that, the more you'll start to feel comfortable with the energy of wealth and abundance and the power associated with those. Okay? So what you can do for homework now is just try to find things that you do enjoy. Find a thing that you love, that you enjoy, and allow yourself to enjoy it. So it could be a beautiful sunset or a delicious cup of hot chocolate or beautiful form of a rainbow or a person, or just a memory of some kind of sensual experience in the past. But whatever it is, just kind of allow it to come to mind and try to allow yourself, or actually go experiencing it too, if it's something like hot chocolate or a sunset, and then give yourself permission to get a good feeling. And just see that within this good feeling, there is a peaceful light of awareness, right? Within the enjoyment is a peaceful light of awareness. And so by doing this, we combine joy and our presence so that it's a joyful presence. It's a peaceful, joyful light of awareness. There's an enjoyment within our presence, within our light of awareness. And you want to do that. This will take you to the next level. The more you can learn to enjoy things and stay with the enjoyment, you can bring enjoyment with you. Life is a BYOE party. Bring your own enjoyment. Enjoyment doesn't come from the outside, it comes from the inside. And that's why we learn to unite joy with our presence, and it's already trying to be there. We have the potential for limitless joy, but we let ourselves get divorced from it somehow. Okay, so in this exercise, we're not saying that the joy is coming from outside, but we're just saying that we're using outside enjoyments to give ourselves the joyful presence. It's a joyful feeling which has a peaceful light of awareness within it. Okay, and then we start to see that actually the enjoyment is also a light of awareness. Our inner enjoyment is also a light of awareness. Joy is a light of awareness, isn't it? So this is how we make it a joyful presence. And then when we do this, we start to realize we don't really need the object anymore. We don't need the outer thing. We used it for that initial hit, that initial experience, and then we realize that the actual enjoyment is part of our presence. It's on the inside. The enjoyment is conjoined with our awareness. It is a type of awareness, isn't it? It's a light of awareness on the inside, that joy. Okay? Peace and joy are not that different. They're just shades of each other, really. They're on the same spectrum. Okay? So we just get that peaceful, joyful light of awareness, and then we just carry that with us all day. And when we learn to hold that and cultivate it all day, it's the same energy as learning to cultivate wealth and abundance all day and to hold it, right? Some people get wealth and abundance and they spend it so quick. But if you can learn to hold it, that's what you really want. And we can start by practicing with joy. It just makes your life better. It allows you to start to channel joy rather than just channeling peace to other people or whatever else you're trying to channel to them. What if you could channel joy to them? What if you could look at someone and make them joyful just with your presence, right? With your infectious energy, maybe your laugh or your look, and people would just start to feel a bit more joyful just by being around you, more alive, right? That becomes part of a gift you can give through your presence when you integrate it and embody it for yourself. Okay. Again, we're gonna go in the next video deeper into all these. This is just the awakening process. It's just getting it started. Okay. Clarity. Okay, number 6, clarity. Clarity here, we need to start to become aware of a higher wisdom. Okay, clarity here refers to us having insight into a higher divine intelligence. We need to channel this. It is not enough for us to try to come up with our own ideas or be unique and original. It's more important that we channel a higher divine energy. And this is real clarity. This intuition isn't our own creation. It's just us aware of a higher divine intelligence. And when we speak ideas that are coming from the higher divine intelligence, people say, whoa, that's a really good idea, or whoa, it's so insightful, or wow, that's revolutionary, or aha, right? You know, this is real intuition, but we're just borrowing it, we're just channeling it, right? This is the clarity that we want to create. Okay, so for this, I would recommend we need to spend time with ourselves. This comes from deep inside. We spend time with ourselves, and then we start to tap into this clarity that's coming through us. We become a channel for divine clarity. That's what we want. And for this, we really need to create the space. So my recommendation is create some space for yourself in the morning or at night or at some time during the day, during the week. Take time and days away from your phone. Maybe take Sundays off from technology, or take a half a day off from any technology, and just like phones and screens and stuff, and go into nature, right? Meditate in the morning. Take an hour or two to meditate in the morning and just be by yourself, journal, think, read, but it's important to not clutter our mind with stuff all the time, right? Yes, reading and taking in new ideas is important for clarity and for consciousness and growth, but we need to take time to let our mind come up with something, let something come from in out, right? If we're always putting things in, we can start to feel a little bit repressed, a little bit stuffed, a little bit suppressed, and our creativity isn't there, and we don't feel in touch with clarity sometimes. So creating space means to limit our consumption as well. It means to stop consuming anything. Stop consuming, noise. Stop consuming screens. Stop speaking, which is it can be very compulsive, right? And stop taking in content and information from other people, and just spend time by yourself, just being without taking anything new in. And what you'll notice is, first, what happens is your mind starts to integrate what it already knows, right? Your mind will start to connect the dots. Maybe you've learned all these different things, but you've never integrated them. So by taking space, your mind starts to integrate them and connect the dots and move it around, and you start to create like an inner experience of each one, which is essentialized. And the experience is what you really want. The experience will help you. The knowledge doesn't help just by itself. It's the experience that helps us. And this comes through integration, integrating into your being, which comes through silence and space. It allows you to integrate. If you're always taking in new stuff, it's like a person who's just constantly eating. If you just constantly eat and never rest, your body doesn't have time to really assimilate that food. You'll just end up excreting all of it, right? It just get blocked up and backed up. If you take time to rest, your body starts to, now I can assimilate. Now I can do this, right? The body is a good example. The human body goes into a natural healing mode. If you just stop putting stuff in it, it starts to go into self-healing. And this is one of the simplest ways to get healthy, is just stop consuming. Give yourself pauses of consumption as often as you can, and your body will become healthy by itself. That's what it does. Okay? It's the same with your mind and with what you're learning. You just pause consumption, and your mind will integrate things. It'll become healthy. It'll become whole. It will become wise. Okay? And this is part of clarity. And that's the first thing that happens when you pause and stop consuming and take silence and space. The second thing, you'll start to have insights. You'll start to actually not just condense what you know into knowledge and experience, but you'll start to come up with ideas. You'll start to create. You'll start to be creative. You'll start to know, this is a new idea for a book, or this is a new idea for a course, or this is a new way I can talk to my partner or my team. This is a new direction for my company. This is a new direction for my life, or for my home, for my family. Okay, you'll have new ideas that come from the silence and space, and usually these are your best ideas. Your ideas that you have while you're consuming something. Be very, very careful about those. They're not integrated yet, and they're not that creative yet, right? So don't have an idea while you're in consumption mode. Just take it in, then pause and integrate, and then from integration, that's when you'll start to have beautiful ideas. And this is the type of clarity that we want. These are mostly going to be like divinely inspired, right? Again, while you're still working the material around, it's your own idea. Don't trust those very much. Once it's integrated and you have space, it'll almost feel like it's coming from a higher source. It almost feels like it's divinely touched, right? It's connected. This idea is connected to a higher consciousness. It almost feels like you're tapping into like the world and what the world needs, like the collective consciousness. It's not just a little idea about, oh, I want that, I want to do this. That's not big enough. That's not clarity here. Okay, so that's the sixth one is clarity. Number 7 is leadership. We need to become a leader, essentially. We need to become an empowered leader. And for me, the steps of leadership go follower. There's different types of follower, but become a follower, and then we learn to lead ourselves, and then we learn to lead others. And again, there's different types of follower. There's like disempowered followers and empowered followers. An empowered follower has confidence. It's good to become an empowered follower, right? I'm an empowered follower of my guides, and I'm an empowered self-leader. I lead myself, and I'm an empowered leader for the people that I'm guiding. And you should be the same. We should be empowered followers, following somebody, right? Following some force. You're tuning into divine consciousness. You have a couple mentors that you're kind of following and downloading in their wisdom. This is how realization flows downhill. Benefit flows downhill. Imagine that the leader is higher on the mountain than you, and they're just channeling the energy down the mountain to you, right? We can't all tune in to this higher divine consciousness perfectly. Even though, so we're following that, but we need people that represent that are further along than us to follow them, and they will channel the transformation, the wisdom, the benefit, the love, the support, the blessings, the transmission. They will transmit it to us, right? That's what empowered followers can do. They don't just pick up scraps. They stay empowered. They're moving forward. They trust themselves, and they also are still receiving from higher places. It's never good if a leader is not a follower. They have a short lifespan on the benefit they can bring to anybody. A real leader is really just a channel for something higher, right? They're really just channeling it. They're receiving it and they're passing it on. That's what a real leader does, right? So we need to learn to find leaders and mentors like this in our life and be an empowered follower, which means we believe in ourselves and we're confident. We're not like disempowered in that we think, oh, I'm so unworthy. How could you transform if you believe you're unworthy? You need to start thinking, I'm worthy, I'm empowered, I'm enough, I'm confident, I'm amazing. And yet I still need to learn from this person. That's an empowered follower. Okay. Then we start to learn enough tools and wisdom and insight. And I'm sure many of you are at this stage, at least, where you are leading yourself. You're learning to guide yourself. You're learning to meditate on your own. You're learning to do yoga on your own. You're learning to work out. You're learning to learn new skills, right? Through some sort of self-study. You've become self-sufficient a little bit, self-reliant, where you're still following someone else, but you don't need to ask as many questions. You don't need, you can answer your own questions internally because you've already learned enough, right? I remember this stage for myself. I got very, very good at guiding myself in meditation at one point. I was already doing it. I was already teaching meditation to others. And then later, I became very good at guiding myself in meditation because that's how the journey goes. There's always layers and levels to everything. Okay. So it's not like we put ourselves in a category. We're just one or the other. We're all of them at all times. I'm an empowered follower right now, but I'm also a self-leader, and I'm also leading others. I'm doing everything, right? And you should be too. And it's important that I'm just trying to categorize it so you can see that there's different activities. Guiding yourself very, very well is part of leading because it gives you the real experience to guide from, right? A leader shouldn't be passing on intellectual knowledge. They should only be passing on real knowledge, like experience, like wisdom, experience in their heart. When they have experience in their heart, now they can share that. Passing on intellectual knowledge means that they haven't applied it deeply themselves yet, which means they're not a self-leader. They're not actually applying it, which means that it's very unreliable. Intellectual knowledge is very unreliable by itself. Experience is reliable, okay? So we need to take it seriously that we are guiding ourselves and leading ourselves, right? There's always new skills to learn, and when we first learn it, that means we're still in the follower stage. And then when we apply it deeply ourselves, now we're self-guiding, And then we become qualified in that process. We have something to share with others. We have experience now that we can share with others. We're a little bit farther up the mountain than somebody else in that category of things. Okay, so just think about this and just decide, I'm going to be an empowered leader, I'm going to be a self-leader, and I'm going to be a leader of others. And that means I need to become a qualified follower. I need to become an empowered follower, and then I need to apply deeply everything I learned myself and guide myself really, really well. And that will make me qualified as an actual leader, like a conscious leader. Now, I love this term conscious leader and like a service-based leader, like a servant leader, because this is what I think it should be. For me, I've never really had the inclination to just be a leader by myself. It was always like, I do it when I realize that I'm the most qualified one. And if I want to help people and I realize that I can help them, I just do it because I know it's the most beneficial thing. Like a real leader is doing it to help their followers. They're not doing it because they just want to be cool. Does that make sense? It's different than that. Here's a really strange analogy. You're bringing your family from one place to another, from this McDonald's to that Burger King. Okay? Now imagine that it's a town, it's a whole town away, right? And you're with your whole extended family too. There's like 40 of you, right? Who's going to lead the journey from one to the other? Let's just say that there's a leader. Let's just say the maps, all the GPSs are down. There's no GPS anymore, right? And maybe there's like one map, and whoever is the leader gets to have the map and everybody follows them. Who should lead there, right? Everyone wants to go to the same place. So whoever's most qualified should lead. And if you are the most qualified, it is a disservice to not step up, right? If you know how to get there better than everybody else, you shouldn't hang in the background. You should guide them out of compassion, right? That's the same with the type of leadership I'm trying to teach here. When you're trying to guide your clients or your team or your family or your investors or whoever you're trying to guide, right? It's really just like we all want to go to the same place. We all want to go to the same place. And who's the most qualified to lead us there? Whoever is should lead. If someone else is more qualified to lead from one place to another, I'm not going to try to lead out of principle. I'm going to be an empowered follower then, okay? And if at any moment it looks like I'm more qualified, I will step up to be the leader for that segment of the journey. It's the same with you. Like, leading isn't something important to do by itself. It is simply a duty, if you're the most qualified, to guide people from one location to another. And that could be spiritually. It could be spiritually, right? If you're a therapist and a client shows up, maybe you're more qualified with the mental workings of the mind and consciousness and how to deal with the situation. You shouldn't let them lead. You shouldn't let them decide for themselves what to do, because they're working with much less knowledge and wisdom and experience than you. Their map, their sight is very short. But you might have a lot of experience, so it's your duty to lead them, to influence them, to get them to come along with your vision. You guide them into your vision. That's what leadership is. You enroll people into your vision. It's energetic. It's verbal. You enroll them into your vision. Okay? And so if you're this therapist, you enroll your client into the vision of handling the problem like this, because you're more qualified in that scenario, potentially, right? It could be anything. It could be like, I'm leading my team to victory, right? Because I'm more qualified to guide in this case. So I'm going to step up and be the leader. It feels like more responsibility. It is more responsibility. And it can also feel risky, because someone who steps up as a leader, anyone else who wants to be the alpha may challenge them, right? Think about like a group of monkeys. The leader is in a kind of a vulnerable spot because now they're the target, but it's still your duty to do it if you're the most qualified. And so you still need to do it. And that includes like online business. If you're a coach or whatever doing online business or any business, people try to take shots at you. If you're deciding I'm a leader, in this case, I'm going to lead you, people who want that alpha position are going to take shots at you. It's as simple as that. And we just need to learn to be patient and to bear it, and to realize that it's worth it anyway, and that we can defeat them. We're not that weak that they're going to win, right? Someone could take shots at me. It doesn't hurt me. We still, out of compassion and duty, we lead because we're the most qualified. And people eventually figure that out. Okay, so that's leadership. And the last one is magic and flow. Magic and flow. This is how we bring a magical quality into our life and how we maintain our effort for a long period of time. Magic, for me, is like appreciating the path. When we appreciate the path ahead, it feels magical. It feels like it unfolds in front of us. Life is happening for me and not to me, right? It's like magic unfolds. And I'm doing this email and I appreciate something within it, and then it feels magical. Or I'm kind of on a run down the road and I appreciate the scenery, and then it becomes magical, right? Appreciation allows the magic to flow in from the higher realms, right? The universe has magic within it. It has divine beneficial force and influence, okay? And we can connect to this just by appreciating things. It brings the magic in. If you want your morning to become more magical, bring appreciation into your morning. If you want your meditation to become more magical, or your yoga practice, or your meal, bring appreciation into that. Appreciation means admiring the beauty of something. Wow, that's so beautiful. And then it brings the magic in. That's appreciation. It brings the magic. Okay, so you do this with your path ahead. This allows you to stay in a state of receiving even while you're doing. If you're, a lot of people, so this is the topic of being, doing, masculine, feminine, okay? When we're doing, sometimes we lose touch with magic and we get very narrow, and we kind of, we can stunt ourselves a bit. If you can appreciate the path while you're doing, you allow yourself to receive beneficial influence while you are doing, right? Which a lot of people can't do. A lot of people get too intense while they're doing, and they're not receiving anymore. Then they realize that they weren't very effective because they weren't allowing themselves to be guided, because they weren't open to receiving anything, any guidance or anything, because they weren't open, they weren't appreciating. Appreciation opens our heart. So while you're doing, while you're being at any time, just appreciate the activity or the whatever, and it allows you to receive during that activity, receive divine beneficial influence. And flow is like learning to stay in a being state while you're doing. All right, a lot of us, again, while you're doing, we lose the resourcefulness of our being state. And sometimes we're being too much and we're not in action enough. So the right balance of being and doing is flow, right? Learning to be being and doing together as one harmony, as one rhythm. We learn to stay in touch with beingness. Keep your presence while you're doing. This allows you to be resourceful. It allows you to be effective. It allows you to maintain momentum and to not get burned out. Burnout comes from being too masculine, right? And procrastination comes from being too feminine. These are two things that stop most people from progress. Procrastination, they're just stagnant, doing nothing. Burnout, they're doing too much, right? In the middle is flow. It allows us to do things and to be extremely effective. It allows you to access your genius, actually, and to download higher wisdom. You maintain that clarity and magic. It allows you to be that channel while you're doing things. So you can do things and you can keep up your steady doingness. But because you're still in touch with being while you're doing it, you'll never burn out. Someone in flow never burns out. The being, this is how you counteract burnout, isn't it? If someone is in burnout, you have to tell them, stop, completely stop everything and just go back to being, rest. And by resting and by being, everything will recharge and reset. But burnout can cause very bad, it can really harm your energy field. It harms the channels, it harms the ways that your energy flows, and it creates these negative grooves and negative habits. So it's very easy to burn out again. If you burn out once, you can burn out a lot of times. The same with like getting injured when you're working out. If someone works out too hard, they could injure like their shoulder, and they could be, even though they rest for like 6 to 9 months maybe for certain injuries, okay, that's good, but it's weaker now, and they can injure again very easily. They have to be extremely careful, okay? So we don't want this. Burning out is the equivalent of getting injured while exercising or lifting, right? it's the equivalent of injury. It's energetic injury, actually. And it's energetic, the mischanneling of the energy. And it creates, like I said, it creates those negative habits and patterns and channels for it to flow. And it just makes it easier to do it again and again and again. So whatever it takes, at all costs, you must avoid burnout. It stunts your progress. Burnout is like hitting a brick wall, right? You do not want to burn out. It's better to go slow and steady than to burn out. If you go slow and steady, you will get there. And that's what flow is about. Flow, there's a certain phrase from the Navy SEALs. They say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Go slow because it allows you to be smooth. And when you're smooth, you actually go like lightning speed. That's what flow is. You're so smooth, you're slow and smooth, which allows you to go and glide, right? No injury, no friction, right? That's what that means. So magic is about appreciation, admiring the beauty. And flow means you learn to modulate your effort so that you're always staying in touch with beingness and you're not just doing. You haven't lost yourself into the extreme of doing or masculine, and you're not in the extreme of feminine or just being, right? Which can be very, very stagnant. And that as well has many, many bad negative energetic effects. When you're stagnant, you create the tendency to be more stagnant, which means that you always have this thing of start, stop. You're like, you start and then you just go back, and it's just safe. It feels so safe to be in the being, right? A lot of women do this one more, or people, I did it when I was at the temple. It's like we get so used to this being. It's so safe. It's so safe to be there, right? And then we start to doubt ourselves, and we never really get started. And our magic, our genius comes while we're flowing, right? There's many times where I'll do a video like this, and it doesn't get good until 10, minutes into the video, or sometimes 30 minutes in, or sometimes 5 minutes in. Same with meditation. The first 10 minutes of meditation, my mind is just like getting warmed up, and then I start to flow, right? When you're speaking in public or when you're out at a social event, it might take you a little bit to get warmed up, and then you flow. Or you're playing a new game, right? You're playing a new game, you're playing pickleball, you're playing badminton or something, and you're stiff, and then you start to flow. And once you're in flow, now you're a genius at that activity. You're more effective with less effort, right? It's less energy. You get your highest level of output, your highest level of excellence that you can tap into happens while you're in flow. This is why in extreme sports, the records are shattered exponentially. In other sports, records are shattered very incrementally over time. But in extreme sports, the records are shattered very fast. Like people blow the old records away quickly. At a very fast rate, the new records are always being created in extreme sports. But why? It's because in an extreme sport, you have to be in flow. You can't not be in flow because you'll get very, very injured, right? The athletes in extreme sports, they have to put themselves in flow, or else they could get extremely injured. And so it's like out of survival necessity, they go into flow, and then they're in the zone, so to speak. And then because they're there so strongly, they're so strongly, deeply in that flow state, nothing else, it's dangerous to get out of flow for even a microsecond. Then the records just disappear, they get shattered, and they just break them fast. Okay, so your highest level of output, your most effective results always come when you're in flow. And as well, you won't get burned out, you're safe, right? You won't get injured. And it's important to just let ourselves get started. Just understand, flow doesn't come in the first few moments or even few minutes of doing something. You get into flow first, right? Before I turned on this video, I got myself into the right state so I could start it good from the beginning. But if I didn't do that, it would have taken me time, right? So you don't stay stuck in being. Get yourself into doing, and don't judge yourself on that first few minutes of the thing. It's just part of getting into flow. Once you're in flow, you will be effective. You'll be good. Just trust. Trust that if you're too much in the being state, trust that getting into action will put you in flow, and that allows you to access your genius while you're in motion. And that's what you want. That's what flow is. Your genius in motion. Of all in motion is doing and being conjoined together. So you always have both. You'll never go to the extreme of doing either, which causes burnout and ineffectiveness and bad things. Okay, so those are the 8 qualities that I want to cultivate. So why do we need them? Because it makes your life amazing and rich and abundant and happy and fulfilled and successful. What are they? Those are what they are. How do we cultivate them? So right now, all we need to do is develop an intention. I will practice these. Like, I like these and I will practice them. We have the intention. I will do this. Okay? And by keeping that intention, you will actually do it. Okay, I'll see you in the next video where we go a little bit deeper.